last time on Rome Total War.
And I'm quoting from this, if it's a super faction versus a bad faction, it's not really. And he's of course referring to my GG comment, which is good game. So he's saying that it's not a good game because it was a super faction before a bad faction. Well, of course. Of course it's all about a bad faction. It's not about it's not about tactics and being outflanked and being surrounded with archers and being shot at the back. Yes, it's all about having a super faction.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Carthage is a bad faction. Okay, sure. Carthage is a bad faction. Cool. And Macedon is a super faction. Also cool. You know, I love these players. Their self-denial is just overwhelming. They come up with the most hilarious excuses. But you know, I could be wrong. Perhaps Macedon is a super faction, and perhaps Carthage is a bad faction. That would have made better impact, if not the fact that I actually faced someone who used Macedon and I was Carthage. Take a look. Hello, this is Ars Malleus playing Rome Total War multiplayer. This is part 2 of the dedication battle to Jina U and Ling U of the JCAC club. Alright, so as you recall, I faced an opponent who has called Carthage a bad faction and Macedon a super faction. And I'm here to prove otherwise. Alright, so I'm in control of the Carthaginians, and I am controlling 6 units of Sacred Band Hoplites, 2 units of Iberian Infantry, 6 units of Slingers, and 6 units of Sacred Band Cavalry. Yeah, after that little comment Zhou Yu told me, I actually went into to the lobby to get a bit of a confirmation from some of the clannies hanging around there, and I asked the lobby in general if Carthage was a bad faction. You know, because I could be wrong. You know, I'm just a player like everyone else, so I want to get people's opinion. And turns out that Carthage isn't really a bad faction, at least in their opinion. And this is played in 20k, and according to other clannies, 20k against Macedon and Carthage is pretty even. Alright, so my opponent for this one is Ordovici, and he has divided his army into 3 lines. At the head of his army is 1 Peltast unit. His first line consists of 2 Royal Pikemen. His second line consists of 4 Phalanx Pikemen, and his last line is 2 Royal Pikemen. And in between all those are his Cretan archers. He's got 4 of them. He's also got 5 companion cavalry and 1 general's bodyguard unit. Alright, so I'm going to take advantage of my numbers in terms of ranged units, and I'm going to spread them out in both wings and see how my opponent responds to that. Meantime, my my phalanx, my infantry force, is going to march up, but I will not engage. So, I guess Carthage being a bad faction and Macedon being a super faction, I guess I'm doomed to failure. So I guess everything that I do here is pretty much, you know, much pointless, since it's not going to be much of a game, since I am indeed a bad faction, and I'm up against a super faction. Alright, so the super faction of Macedonia has split up its forces. Its entire second rank is going after my rightmost slingers and my rightmost cavalry. And Macedon, being the all-powerful faction that it is, will have no problem maintaining its front line, even though it just lost a good portion of its manpower. And while his phalanx pikemen, Macedonian phalanx pikemen are going after switch targets to my cavalry, my slingers are going to hit it from behind or to the side. But I highly doubt that's going to make much difference, since I am up against an incredibly powerful faction, and I am indeed a bad faction. Here he has launched, Ordovici has launched a cavalry charge. His leftmost cavalry swung over to his right to meet my cavalry, and I managed to rout them as I got my infantry in range to help out. Meantime, he's also peeling off his own infantry to help out with his cause. Fortunately, I have two Sacred Band hoplites ready to take on that pikeman unit that peeled off, while the other Sacred Band surrounded this particular unit of horses, and that makes them rout. Here you can see the phalanx pikemen that were originally going after my slingers coming back, and they are utterly depleted because of that expedition that they did, and they're now coming in to help out with this wing. And this is his general unit.
The enemy general flees like a frightened child. Now attack and break the will of his followers.
That's kinda odd. Can you imagine that? A bad faction like Carthage just defeated the entire cavalry force of Macedon on one wing. In fact, my right-wing cavalry is pretty much untouched. Alright, so I'm going to start to isolate and hit these pikemen from the side where they are less vulnerable. And as you can see, one of my Sacred Band infantry units, they're actually just there to intimidate rather than engage, while the rest of my Sacred Band infantry started to destroy those pikemen from the side. Here's my general unit. He came from the right wing. And I'm also using my Iberian infantry to go after the Macedonian Cretan archers, since my cavalry were kind of preoccupied at that point. And here's the rear charge. And as I begin my engagement from the rear, I'm marching up the rest of my hoplites. And now my opponent is going to march up the rest of his pikes to meet my phalanx, but I use one of my phalanx to hold off his infantry force, while the second group goes after the infantry from the behind.
Sweeter for being so decisive.
And my opponent admits defeat. And that's that. Alright. So, it's kind of odd. Looks like I won that. Such a bad faction that Carthage is, and Macedon being such a super faction. It's kind of weird. Anyway, good game to Ordovici. He was a very good player. Alright, so that's my dedication battle to Jina U and Ling U. I hope you two have a great summer, and I'll see you both at some later date. Alright, and that was from me to you. Love ya.